Hi, this is Nadeem Chaudhry and you're watching InfoHub.
Chapter 2, A Chance to Prove Himself. Now the story moves to Aleppo, Syria, 1152. Yusuf felt sad saying goodbye to his mother and sisters before he left Damascus with his father. At first he was excited to be starting a new life, but after 4 days of hard travel on hot dry roads, he was worried. He asked himself over and over again, will I be a good soldier? Yusuf's father said, look, that's where you'll live, his father said while they rode through some small villages just outside Aleppo. On a high hill in the middle of the town, the boy saw the tall walls of the castle climb up towards the sky. They made Yusuf feel very small and unimportant. The building looked like it was growing even taller while he rode through the town towards it. Yusuf wanted to go back home, but he knew that he couldn't say anything to his father. Ayub rode up into the castle and Yusuf followed silently. They found the general talking to his men in a large room full of swords. Shirkuh was an ugly man, with only one eye. No one could say that he looked like a general, but he was brave and he knew everything about the best ways to fight and win. After the soldiers left, the general turned to the boy. Well, Yusuf, are you sure that you want to be a soldier? I'll do my best, uncle. If you want to be one of my soldiers, you'll do what I tell you. Do you understand? Yes, uncle. Shirkuh now turned to his brother. Ayub, I'll take the boy, but only because you and I are brothers. I don't think that he'll be a good fighter or a soldier, but we'll see. If he's in any trouble, he goes home, at once. Yusuf wanted to do well, but it was difficult. He tried hard to learn. But he was still small and weak and he found the fighting hard. His sword was heavy. The other soldiers were fast and strong. His uncle was often angry. Hey, Yusuf. You'll never be a soldier if you fight like that. I can't use you as you are. Go and try to understand how the law works from Governor Nuruddin. I don't want to see you here again until you can do something better than this. Work hard or you'll go back home. Yusuf did what his uncle said. He thought, I'll never be a soldier. What will my father say if I have to go home? Learning the law is so boring, but Uncle Shirkuh thinks I can't do anything else. Oh, I want to be strong like other boys. Now he stood for long hours in the governor's rooms in the castle watching people asking Nuruddin for help. At first everything was hard to understand, but soon Yusuf saw that Nuruddin was a great man. The governor always listened to everybody, poor people, and women and children, too, not just rich and strong men. The governor studied the law and talked about difficult problems with wise men. He thought about their words and took time to find the right answer. After 3 months, the governor saw that Yusuf learned quickly. People liked the boy because he was friendly to everyone. His thinly looked sad when he was alone, but when he spoke to people, he had a kind and happy smile. He also always tried to help anyone with troubles. Nuruddin began to talk to the boy about the problems of the castle, the town and the army. The governor also talked to Yusuf about his great hope. One day soon I want to make all the Muslim people stop fighting each other. We must work together to take Jerusalem back from the Franks. Palestine isn't their land after all. Nothing is more important than this, and we must all fight to make it happen. Now Yusuf wanted to fight the Franks too. It was wrong that they held the holy places. He also understood that Franks sometimes made friends with some Muslims and together they fought against other Muslims and took their houses, land and animals. Nothing was safe. It was also very hard for Muslims to go on pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca. The road was too dangerous because of all the Frankish castles near it. I must get into Nuruddin's army. But how can I do it when Uncle Shirkuh thinks that I'm too weak? I'll have to learn clever ways to win against stronger men. I know that the Franks are good fighters. Their horses are bigger, their soldiers wear a lot of armor, and they have many castles. But I know that we'll win if we work together and make good plans. From that day, he borrowed a horse and learned to use his sword day and night when he wasn't working for Nuruddin. He wanted to show his uncle that he wasn't just a good student of law, but also a real soldier. One day, Nuruddin asked Yusuf to play polo with him. The boy ran to find a horse. He was so excited, and he forgot about everything, his uncle, the law, and even fighting the Franks. They played inside the castle walls. Everyone watched Yusuf and his horse following the ball closely, without a mistake. Polo was like a battle, fast and dangerous. Many horses fell, men were hurt, and one died when a horse ran over him, but Yusuf rode wonderfully. He stayed out of trouble and, by hitting clever shots, he helped Nuruddin and his players to win. "How can you play polo so well?" the governor asked the boy. "I learned it in Damascus, sir. I have a wonderful horse there. My father says that he'll send him to me when General Shirkuh says that I can fight with the army. Tell your father to send the horse now. You're small and not very strong, but you're a clever fighter. You think before you do things, and you want to win. There's nothing more important in a soldier. The general will be happy to have another good man in his army. Go to him now and tell him what I said." The general looked up when he heard the news. He wasn't smiling. "Very well. You can come back, but don't think that you'll be fighting. Polo and war are different. You'll work in my office and learn how to move fighting men and horses quickly and to find food, weapons, and a safe place for them to sleep. Remember that brave soldiers and fast horses are only half the story. We only win wars when strong men are ready to fight in the right place at the right time." Yusuf was in the army now, but life wasn't easier. Every day he made sure that the soldiers and their horses had good food to eat. He counted weapons and made sure that they were strong and clean. He paid soldiers and kept the army's money safe. He found answers to all kinds of problems from morning until night, but sometimes he felt sad because he never knew if his uncle was happy with his hard work. There was no fighting for Yusuf, but sometimes Nuruddin asked him to play polo and on a needs back he forgot his troubles. Now 11 years have passed in Aleppo, and the year is 1163 AD. Yusuf was 25 years old now, and still working for his uncle, when news came of trouble in Egypt. Vizier Shah wanted Nuruddin's help to keep the country out of the hands of his enemies. He promised to give a lot of money to the Syrians to make them come, but it was only when Amalric, the Frankish king of Jerusalem, decided to move into Egypt that Nuruddin began to think about sending his army. The Franks mustn't get to Cairo and use the money that they find there to make their armies in the Holy Land stronger, he said. Yusuf worked hard for months to get the soldiers ready for the long journey to Egypt. There was a lot to do and General Shirkuh was always busy. He spoke to Yusuf only to give him more work and more difficult problems to put right. The young man worried that he couldn't go on the campaign, but he worked as hard as possible to make ready all that the army needed. The days went by and still Yusuf heard nothing about going. He knew that the army was leaving in less than a week. "My uncle will leave me behind, and I'll spend the rest of my life counting swords and paying soldiers," he thought sadly.